The walls don't move when the world is loud outside. I watch the ceiling where the quiet currents hide. No messages arriving through the heavy screen, just the cold dust settling on a still machine. The floorboards hold the weight of an unwritten page, a solitary mind escaping from the modern cage. We don't demand a witness for the thoughts we keep, while the exhausted city falls into a restless sleep. Static rest inside the empty space. No artificial light can simulate this phase. We drop the heavy anchor in the deepest deep, guarding the silent alignment that we choose to keep. The exhaust of vocabulary just to fill the blank, chasing an imaginary tear or a synthetic rain. But there is medicine inside a room that has no sound, where the raw lineage connects back to the solid ground. My elders knew the grace of staying out of sight, leaving the frantic shadows to the artificial night. I close my eyes to see the architecture clear and whole, a sovereign isolation purifying the weary soul. Expressed inside the empty space. No artificial light can simulate this phase. We drop the heavy anchor in the deepest deep, guarding the silent alignment that we choose to keep. Old memories sitting in the corner of the room, gathering dust beneath the quiet winter gloom. No need to sweep the fragments of the past away. They tell the story of a long forgotten day. The world outside is manufacturing the news, but I am fading into deep monochromatic blues. The ink is dry upon the heavy paper sheet, safe from the traffic of the superficial street. Dusted thoughts spinning slow inside the mind, the static and the chatter far behind. We don't accelerate to match their frantic pace. We find our healing in an unrecorded space. They try to catalog the motion of the soul, breaking the baseline just to claim they made it whole. But independence doesn't happen in a crowd, it thrives in places where the silence is allowed. My lineage was patient, waiting for the rain to wash the expectations off the window pane. No heavy vanity, no temporary pride, just the raw current where the inner truth survive. The dust is not a sign of failure or decay. It is a blanket keeping all the noise away. Let it settle, let it stay. We don't require their bright display. Dusted thoughts spinning slow inside the mind, leaving the static and the chatter far behind. We don't accelerate to match their frantic pace. We find our healing in an unrecorded space. Walking on the cold pavement where the shadow grows, a quiet path that only the ancestral current knows. No digital tracking on the steps I take tonight, leaving the grid before the morning brings the light. The world demands a blueprint for every move you make, counting the profits from the risks you choose to take. But I disappear inside the foggy winter air, finding the solace that was always waiting there. Untraced footsteps fading in the dark, leaving no signature and leaving no mark. We walk in the silence where the system cannot see, reclaiming the fragments of our sovereign history. They map the horizon with an artificial line, trying to colonize the structure of your time. But the solitary journey doesn't leave a heavy trace. It moves like a whisper through an unrecorded space. My elders told me how to walk without a sound, keeping the spirit close to the protected ground. No flashy display, no temporary names, just stepping completely out of that synthetic game. Untraced footsteps fading in the dark, leaving no signature and leaving no mark. We walk in the silence where the system cannot see, reclaiming the fragments of our sovereign history. Da float, light flickering against the unmoving shade. A quiet sanctuary that the solitude has made. No heavy expectations knocking on the wooden floor. We left the vanity outside the heavy iron door. The hum of the amplifier fills the empty space. A raw vibration that no metric can erase. We listen deeply to the frequency that stays beyond the temporary noise of modern days. Dim resonance echoing within the bone, reclaiming every piece of being all alone. We don't require a spotlight to validate the mind. We leave the static of the crowd far behind. They build a platform just to watch the fragile spirit break, trading their heritage for everything that's false and fake. But there's an anchor in the lower register we choose, sinking completely into deep unpolished blues. The lineage was quiet when the history was cold, holding a value that was never bought or sold. We sit inside the shadow where the clarity resides, untouched by every superficial modern time. Resonance echoing within the bone, reclaiming every piece of being all alone. We don't require a spotlight to validate the mind. We leave the static of the crowd far behind. There is a heavy mass that fills the room tonight, a quiet gravity away from public light. No spoken words are needed when the foundation is deep, guarding the ancient secrets that the shadows keep. They spend their lifetime shouting just to prove they exist, vanishing like the smoke inside the winter mist. But we respect the boundary of the unspoken code, resting our weary spirits on this solitary road. The weight of silence crushing down the noise, reclaiming every piece of our original poise. We don't address the jury of the temporary crowd. We find our sovereignty where speech is not allowed. They trade their quiet moments for a superficial gaze, lost inside the friction of their synthetic days. But my lineage was patient. They understood the power of the pause, operating far beyond their artificial laws. Listen close to the emptiness where the ego cannot stand. That's the protected soil of the ancestral land. No shallow explanations offered for the lives we live. Just the absolute serenity that only silence can give. Speak less, feel the density of the air. Nothing is missing when the mind is bare. Let the world exhaust itself outside. This is where the truth resides. The weight of silence crushing down the noise. Reclaiming every piece of our original poise. We don't address the jury of the temporary crowd. We find our sovereignty where speech is not allowed. Jury of the temporary crowd. We find our sovereignty where speech is not allowed. The street light filters through the rusted iron grate, projecting shapes that help the heavy hours wait. I watch the silhouettes collide up on the wall, a silent theater where empires fade and fall. They run toward the light to keep their names alive in empty places where the shallow projects thrive. But there is safety when the darkness wraps the frame, untouched by numbers or the hunger for the fame. Shadow play, dancing in the quiet gray, washing every temporary urgency away. We do not offer up the spirit to be sold. We keep the sanctuary that our shelters hold. They sell a spotlight that is blinding to the mind, the narrow channel leaving identic tie behind. But the unexposed negative is where the texture stays. I'm immune to the compression of their digital displays. My lineage survived by working in the shade, far from the matrix that the corporations made. No flashing neon for the boundaries we trace, just honest gravity inside an unmapped space. Shadow play, dancing in the quiet gray, washing every temporary urgency away. We do not offer up the spirit to be so. We keep the sanctuary that our shelters hold. Deep beneath the concrete where the pressure drops away, we don't care about the words the noisy critics say. A silent shift is happening below the heavy floor, locking out the expectations at the bunker door. The city keeps on spinning in a fast and hollow wheel, trading all the history for everything unreal. But the roots are safe and quiet in the dark and steady ground, holding up the weight of a forgotten cosmic sound. Subterranean shift, moving slow and deep, bypassing every single promise that they try to keep. We don't need the validation of their superficial light. We just anchor the devotion in the dark and quiet night. They measure your alignment by the metrics on a chart, failing to observe the current moving in the heart. But the sovereign mind demands a place to rest and calibrate, stepping completely out of their manufactured fate. My elders knew the shelter of an unrecorded space, where time becomes a shadow that no system can erase. We don't fast forward just to satisfy a greedy trend. We stay inside the pocket from beginning to the end. Subterranean shift, moving slow and deep, bypassing every single promise that they try to keep. We don't need the validation of their superficial light. We just anchor the devotion in the dark and quiet night. The shadows stretch your old unvarnished floor. We safe inside behind the heavy bolted door. The candle burns down to the bottom of the tin, a quiet space where the internal truths begin. They count their numbers in the bright and busy square, but there is nothing but the hollow echo there. We watch the dust motes falling slowly through the shade, protected from the fragile traps the world has made. Dim lit sanctuary, keeping out the storm. Inside the quiet, where the ancient code is warm, we do not answer to the calling of the crowd. We find our healing where the speech is not allowed. The walls are thick enough to block the distant street, where weary people chase the things they can't complete. They want your focus just to feed a broken wheel, but we prefer to stay untraced and quite unreal. My elders knew the worth of keeping to the dark, leaving no footprints and there is no public mark. A sovereign room where every heavy thought can rest, restoring clarity inside the quiet rest. No artificial light, just the steady night. We drop the heavy load on this solitary road. Dim lit sanctuary, keeping out the storm. Inside the quiet, where the ancient code is warm, we do not answer to the calling of the crowd. We find our healing where the speech is not allowed. Dim lit sanctuary. Dim lit sanctuary. Dim lit sanctuary. Yeah. The autumn air is chilling down the restless street, a quiet fog that makes the isolation sweet. The leaves are dropping softly on the cold gray stone, a reminder of the value in being all alone. They chase the summer, trying to prolong the show, terrified of shadows when the sun is low. But we accept the winter and the fading green, finding our alignment in the space unseen. Autumn haze settling inside the mind, leaving all artificial warmth behind. We welcome the decay of every shallow thing, waiting for the clarity the frost will bring. Yeah, the branches strip away the things they do not need, returning all the power to the hidden seed. They want a constant blossom for a public market stall, but true survival happens when the structures fall. My elders watch the seasons turning in a ring, never getting captured by a fleeting thing. We sit beneath the vapor as the daylight dies, looking at the cosmos with unclouded eyes. Some haze settling inside the mind, leaving all the artificial warmth behind. We welcome the decay of every shallow thing, waiting for the clarity the frost will bring. Floating through the vacuum where the signal cannot reach, far beyond the boundaries of their superficial speech. An autonomous rotation in the darkness of the space, leaving no coordinate for them to track or trace. The stars don't need an audience to validate their light. They simply keep on burning through the everlasting night. Everlasting night. And I have found the comfort in the cold and silent void, safe from every metric that the system has employed. Solitary orbit spinning in the deep garden, the alignment that I choose to keep. We don't gravitate toward their crowded neon sky. We just let the heavy weight of history pass by. They want to tether everything to an earthly ground, binding every movement to a temporary sound. But the spirit is a traveler that operates alone, claiming an inheritance that they have never known. My elders knew the architecture of a quiet mind, leaving all the static and the vanity behind. We drift across the shadow where the matrix cannot see, in complete possession of our sovereign destiny. Solitary orbit spinning in the deep garden, the alignment that I choose to keep. We don't gravitate toward their crowded neon sky. We just let the heavy weight of history pass by. The murmur of the highway is a mile away, a faded echo at the closing of the day. I sit inside the quiet where the shadow stays, completely hidden from their superficial ways. The world is keeping up a frantic and loud debate, but nothing matters when you close the heavy gate. We tune our spirit to the frequency that does not change, while all their modern definitions look so strange. A distant hum beneath the winter floor. The noisy city cannot touch us, and why more? We find our shelter in the lower register of peace, and let the heavy calculations finally cease. They try to purchase your attention with a shallow spark, but we prefer to be the quiet in the dark. My elders knew the architecture of an honest life, far from the vanity and far from all their useless strife. We do not give away the value of the quiet room to be consumed inside that temporary summer bloom. Just honest gravity and shadows on the naked brick, safe from the pressure of a world that moves too quick. Let the engine run, the day is done, the buzz is small, we left it all. A distant hum beneath the winter floor. The noisy city cannot touch us, and why more? We find our shelter in the lower register of peace, and let the heavy calculations finally cease. La da 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 da. A distant hum beneath the winter floor, and the noisy city cannot touch us, and why more? We find our shelter in the lower register of peace, and let the heavy calculations finally cease. Cease. The windows closed and now the air is dry. We watch the final modern shadow die. No moisture left to carry false pretense, just honest gravity and sober sense. The books are shut, the ink has turned to stone. We claim the absolute of being all alone. My lineage is quiet in the room, safe from the public light and synthetic bloom. Dry air inside the sovereign space, no footprint left for them to trace, We have completed the assignment in the dark, leaving no signature and leaving no mark. They exhaust the market with the shallow trade, chasing the fragile structures they have made. But independence doesn't need a crowd. It thrives in places where the speech is not allowed. The cycle closes where the pulse began, far from the matrix and the temporary plan. No more definitions left to feed, just the raw freedom that the roots decreed. Dry air inside the sovereign space. No footprint left for them to trace, We have completed the assignment in the dark, leaving no signature and leaving no mark. Inside the sovereign space, no footprint left for them to trace. We have completed the assignment in the dark, leaving no signature.